This time we will call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Anson.
Here.
Trustee Doro. Here. Trustee Myers.
Here.
Trustee Walschlager.
Here.
Trustee Ludke.
Here.
Trustee Connor.
Here.
President Vanderstel.
Here. If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Connor.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. At this time, if we have anybody that wants to speak, public speaking, public comments on any items that are not on the agenda already. If you want to step up, I'll let you know. What are you going to speak about?
Well, I think it's about the Ha.
Okay, if you could announce yourself just for the
Yeah,
cameras and stuff and the representation.
A few of you know me. One of you is related to me. My name's Tom Ludke. I'm the president of the Hartland Athletic Advancement Association. I've, met other of you, either upstairs or, through other board meetings, through other meetings, park board, et cetera. But, and what I'm here, I guess, to talk about is the startup of baseball and softball and our involvement with it. And I'm not sure that a lot of you really understand what the Hartland Athletic Advancement Association does, how long we've been around, and what we're here for, and what our agreements with the village entail, and why we do this. So. We don't sell softball and baseball. We provide a venue for it by running the concession stands. And by running the concession stands, we make enough money to keep the lights going and, get the teams together, pretty much supply the equipment needed as far as baseballs and the scoreboards. Everything that we've done in this village, is made, what the money that we make goes for. But we're not a for-profit business. We're, low-key, don't have high prices on anything we do. And how we keep going is just through community involvement and the teams that are our patrons. Well, now we use the village concession stands or canteens, but we've furnished them with, all the things that we scrimp and save and buy and get, put the refrigerators in, the coolers and everything. And this has been going on for, the Ha has been around since the 60s. So that's when it started. And these, the forefathers of ours, the people that started it, actually cleared the land for Bark River Park, made that park. And little by little over the years, it got the fences, it got the scoreboards, it got everything. And now, to keep it going, we have to, we have to have teams, we have to have leagues, we have to do this, or we falter. We can't go. And one of the most important things I would think to our business is those canteen buildings and the agreements that we have with the village that they provide the building and clean the restrooms once a day. Well, this year, with all this COVID going on, the restrooms are shut down and we can't start. There was one porta-john put at each location in the village to serve the people in place of, in both of our locations that we utilize, which Bark River and Nixon, is a men's room with 2 toilets, 2 urinals, a sink with a automatic soap dispenser, a women's room with 2 toilets and a sink, automatic soap dispenser, waste cans. And a family room, family bathroom, with a toilet, changing table. I don't know how one porta-john can wash anybody's hands or take the amount of volume of people, that, it's not like we have hundreds of people. I mean, at any given time, we might have 30 to 50 people in the park, but you can't service that with one porta-john. It's unfeasible on just about every, adjective you can come up with. That's just not a good idea. And we want to get started, but I can't, in clear conscience, bring my customers into that type of a facility. And I don't even know, the last communication that I had regarding the canteens and the bathrooms was just that we wouldn't be able to use the canteens or the bathrooms. Well, I don't know how much things have changed, but if we can't use the canteens, we can't make the money to provide for the team, to provide stuff for the teams, which means we would have to, not have our season, and then we have to, contact all the teams and all the players and let them all know that we're out of business because we can't provide a safe environment for them and can't provide the refreshments that, our agreements are there for, I mean, like I say, we don't sell baseball. We have the bartender's licenses and the liquor licenses for a reason. That's what we sell, that and hot dogs and, but if we can't, if we can't do the business, you guys got to let us know, and it just hasn't been communicated to me. Back in earlier when this first came out, I emailed and said, let's stay in, let's keep the lines of communication open. When we're down like this, we should be involved and find out what we can do to prepare for if in the event we can open. And was told that, well, baseball will be handled when the time comes around. Not, not being, not anything proactive to get ready to get ready to go. So now here we find ourselves at the 11th hour. It's like I didn't want to be having to, scramble to either get this thing going or flush it all together. So that's, I have to know. And,
if you want, I'll provide some comment on it.
okay.
June 1st, I believe, is correct, that we're going to be opening up some of that.
That's what's proposed.
So June 1st, some of that's going to be opening up, and that's what's proposed. Now, I don't know how much communication you didn't have. I did try to get a call to you on Saturday. I have communicated to Dusty, and I know that's not you, Dusty Pfeiffer, letting him know, because he says, hey, we got to open, saying it's June 1st. I don't know if I necessarily agree that we're doing this at the 11th hour, because a lot of this is the state mandate that made us stay closed, and it was more so the 11th hour that the Supreme Court decided to say that's completely illegal. So the order was illegal, so things could be opened up, but because those are somewhat village facilities, even though I know you guys run the canteen out of it, to safeguard the village, we had to look into legal and this and that. Can we open the bathrooms? Can someone sue us if they end up saying, okay, I got sick? Because the bathroom, at first they were talking about having it cleaned every 2 or 4 hours. So the porta-johns were a part of trying to do something that if you did want to play baseball or softball or kickball, that there was a facility that could be used. And what that did is it took the burden of possibly getting sued in the village off of us. So we were doing what we could try to do as quickly as we could. There was, in talkings with the county, we were trying to figure out, were they going to put a mandate on the parks? Some of those were closed. So it was only in trying to do things, but do them legally, that we were attempting to try to do things. I feel like we did a somewhat decent job in hurrying up to get open. The order came down, I don't know the exact date, maybe the 15th, 13th of May. We're going to have been open by June. There's a lot of other places that haven't even moved yet. I mean, the city of Milwaukee is still shut down, and we aren't Milwaukee. I'm just saying, I feel like for a 2.5 week period, to have an answer even right now to say you're gonna be able to open up, it was not fun. I don't feel like it was entirely the village. I mean, there was a governor put in a mandate saying, or at least the Department of Health secretary, saying we couldn't open. I'm sorry if the communication wasn't good enough. My understanding, the village also sent through something just saying, hey, get us the schedule so we can be all ready to go. Some of this we were just finding out. I mean, it was only at the end of last week that we figured out, all right, we're good to go for June 1st, but some of that was in trying to protect the village. So it wasn't intended, and I understand for everybody it can be very frustrating, and I'm sorry, that.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. The thing about like especially hardball, so they need to have their canteen operation to pay for their umpires, et cetera. And if we can't operate the canteen, they can't have a schedule anyway.
Right.
They'll have to, because, we won't be able to pay the umpires.
I agree. And I talked with John McNeil. I talked to him this weekend. They practiced. They were scheduled to have a game on Sunday. The porta potty would have covered, the porta john would have covered using the bathroom. The other team ended up canceling out on them. So playing the baseball, and I understand what you're saying. You got to be able to have the canteen, otherwise it's not worth it, or I think that's what you're saying. But
We can't afford to keep them.
But the parks are open for use.
Right.
They're just not fully open for use with facilities, if that makes any sense, or bathroom facilities, or facilities that we were waiting to see what had to get cleaned and stuff like that. But like hardball and that league, they are practicing, doing games. They were scheduled to have a game this Sunday. The team said no. I believe it was Mancha said we don't want to come. We're too scared of the risk. So they didn't come down. But June 1st, we got 4 more days and we're up and running. We're back to full. So
And that's what I'm trying to find out is, are we going to be back to, where we can feel safe because frankly, I wouldn't feel safe to open up with just one porta john.
Oh, no, we're going to be, you can open now, as in play baseball. I'm talking the facilities being back open with the bathrooms and the canteen, if I'm wrong, maybe I'm over-speaking and we're still waiting on that. I don't think so.
Well, we don't,
Is that correct?
like I said, we don't sell baseball.
yet?
No, that's what, I think.
I just want to make sure I
I
don't
think that's
speak
kind
wrong.
of part of the story, obviously we reached out to all the groups that rent our facilities and asked them to update their schedule, and we're waiting to get that schedule back. I understand you dropped that off today?
I dropped off the Land Lakes schedule. Our Haas schedule basically starts the day we can get into the parks
Right.
and get the
so
teams together.
That was what the email that was sent to you was
But-
asking for, was,
But we can't do that with a porta john. We cannot,
Right.
that's not feasible.
So are you saying that the porta johns are the problem rather than the canteen? I thought you said the canteen's where you made the money. You can open the canteen, you're just a restaurant, you just sell people, you can have that business, you're just worried about a porta potty now?
Well, we can't
I
ask,
mean-
we can't ask 30 people to use one
No,
porta
but
john.
we just
They
said
can't
that
wash
June
their
1st,
hands.
we're gonna open up the bathrooms, and you already have the canteen open, which is your moneymaker.
They don't have the canteen open.
Well, why can't they open a canteen?
So we don't have,
Because
we
the
don't have
village was looking into
restroom
legal
facilities.
ramifications. We
Well,
got
why
the
wouldn't that
answer.
be a regular restaurant?
It's not because they don't have a health inspector. It's a village facility.
So it's not a restaurant.
No.
What's it considered then?
It's a ballpark concession
A
stand.
concession stand?
I don't know the legal definition of a concession stand.
I
don't
mean,
know
a
if it's
concession, if
inspected.
somebody sells food, you just can't have people in there.
Well,
I don't know if
well,
it's inspected.
I believe it would be under the health inspector because they take out licensing for it to sell food and beverages, and all bartenders have to have a license, and they've gone through this for a couple of years with different facilities that they can and can't put in there, from hot water to what, all of that. My question is, who's your point of contact at the village, Mr. Ludke?
Dee Dee?
Okay. And then for your contact, were you told that on June 1st you could use concessions and facilities?
No,
You just needed a schedule?
right.
So
But
then,
like I say, our agreements are predicated on, us being able to
So,
I
take,
think we're all talking about the same thing.
We are,
I-
he just
I-
needs a yes or
It's
no.
basically, I mean, and Tom, I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
June 1st, everything's opening. The village definitely did not try to keep the Ha or any other baseball leagues from playing. The order was just lifted on the 13th. We were just trying to do everything we could to keep everyone protected. Yep, if we wanted to pull the trigger last Friday and really pound and really rush, talk about the 11th hour, but we went with June 1st, where that canteen will be able to be open, the bathrooms are gonna be clean, they're gonna get locked and unlocked, because I do want the board to remember, what we're also talking about here is that there is a agreement here, okay? DPW goes, takes care of stuff, and the hot dog, they use that field, I mean, 5 days a week, sometimes more, depending on tournaments. But, if there was communication, or people, something wasn't known, you know, I'm sorry. I've tried, and I think that the village tried, but I mean, June 1st, everything will be up and running.
okay, well, now, when we get there, that's usually when we open up the bathrooms. Mm-hmm. You know, and so the bathrooms are pretty much, in those two locations, they're open only when we're doing, you know, the softball leagues or the hardball thing. So we open and close the bathrooms, but now the keys are changed, so we can't do that. And what some of the concern was that they needed to be cleaned every 2 hours. Well, if we're open for 4 hours, so the village has them cleaned to start the day, like they always did. 2 hours into our shift, we go in and, you know, do the wipe down, do the clean.
Tom, some of that was while we were figuring it, we didn't know if this county was gonna come down and say, what is the standard protocol? A lot is up in the air right now. We haven't ever been through this before,
Right, yeah, I
ever.
understand.
So, and I don't know what.
I'm just trying to find out if we're gonna be able to do it or not.
I would strongly encourage you to contact,
Is-
contact the administrator and come in when he's here and see if you guys can set up a time to have a meeting. I bet you that you will have it figured out in 10 minutes. And I'm being totally serious. I think maybe there's a lack of communication from this and that, but, or if the administrator says to do it a different way.
We needed the board to take action to open the parks.
Yep.
I think we are months ahead of other communities in Waukesha County if they're gonna even open the parks or allow baseball. So I think we are trailblazing this unknown territory without question in Waukesha County.
Right.
So we're trying, we need the board to approve opening the parks.
Yep.
The DPW will take action and we will communicate that to the groups to get going. So it's kind of a lot of chicken or egg with a lot of this stuff.
Well, I guess that's pretty much the only thing that, like I said, we have to have those things to operate.
Okay.
And the county park that I went to did nothing to change, you know, anything over the last 3 months. You walked right into the bathroom, that was always open the whole time.
Okay.
Looked no different than it did, smelled no different than it did all through this whole thing. So they didn't really shut, you know, the county didn't shut their facilities down. They may have in certain locations, but the one
They
I go to.
certainly did. And the county parks committee is meeting as we speak to talk about whether they're going to move forward with the parks and what they're gonna have open and not open. So it is a discussion, almost every community around us, Elm Grove, Sussex, Pewaukee, are all meeting tonight having this
Same
exact conversation of what is the right thing to do, pools, splash pads, parks, bathrooms, playgrounds, summer camps, all that stuff is, we're just trying to figure this out. Again, it's been 9 days since we got direction, the last set of direction. And so we're all just trying to figure this out as quickly as we can and
Well, and so I have to know, the Land O'Lakes doesn't start until the 21st of June, so we got a couple of weeks with them. But for us down at Bark River, for the softball, I'd like to know as soon as I can so I can get the commissioner on getting the teams in the park.
You can play ball immediately.
Well,
You can play ball immediately. That's what the Porta John is
Yeah.
there for. On June 1st, everything else is open and back up.
okay, well then, because we weren't planning on running and operating in May after, you know, it was June, the beginning of June that we were planning on operating, but I didn't know, nothing was communicated to me that we would be,
And none of this is a guarantee. If all of a sudden tomorrow we find out that we have 576 cases of COVID in Hartland, it could change. I'm just saying, but
right?
Absolutely.
I don't want to say anything. COVID is real. In Hartland, we don't have a lot of cases, so right now it is
Right.
June 1st.
Okay. Well, keep me in the loop so I don't, so I know what to do. I want to get.
I did try, I did call on Saturday, I tried. I'm trying to, and I feel like the villages, and I will continue to try.
I'm old school, you gotta leave a message.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right,
last caveman on planet Earth, so.
all right,
All right?
all right, thanks.
Thank you.
Just for the record, I did let that go longer because it was a major issue inside of the village, and I knew that there was some things going on with that, so, hope the board isn't too upset. Any other public comments for items not on the agenda? The first item we have on the agenda is consideration of a motion to approve the village board minutes of May 11th, 2020. I believe there was an amendment that came out on that, just to make everyone aware when they make the motion.
I'll approve the minutes with the amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item on the agenda is a motion to approve the vouchers for payments in the amount of, sorry, I can't see it. Oh, thank you, $200,613.36.
I'll move the, approve the voucher payments for $200,613.36.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
That motion is carried. The next items we have are considerations of actions related to licenses and permits. The first item we have in those is a consideration of an application for an operator's license that's been recommended for denial. I do believe we have someone to speak to that if they want to step forward at this time. No?
Thank you.
My name is Mike Badani, and owner of the Sitco Hartland Village Mart. I've been in business for almost 13 years now. And I know it's regarding one of my employee that's been, I guess it's been denied for the liquor license. She's previously held the license in the village of Hartland for the 12 years that I had owned and operated the business. So it was approved by the prior board member, prior police department that had approved it. And at this time, it's been denied. So I just need to know why, and I don't need the whole legality. I know there was a mistake that was done by her 25 years ago. I understand that. And I was warned by my predecessor, but for the last, every other year when it's renewal, it's been approved. And some of you board members were there before when it was approved. Now, I'm not gonna point fingers at anybody, but I understand why it's been denied today, and I know it was an oversight. Just, I guess inside it's bothering me for the fact okay, I understand maybe people do make mistakes, one application, but 6 times she's been approved. And now it's been denied. So that's where I am here. So just basically I understand the laws are there for a reason and everything. I know the chief is doing his job. I understand the department. But what happened to the prior? It wasn't like, we had a chief over here for a long time. And then we had a chief in between prior to the, and I guess that's where I have a problem with it. Why was it approved 5 other times and now the 6th time it's been approved? So, thank you.
Yep. Thanks. So with that, we have to take that item up.
If I could, Mr. President, I'd just like to brief the board on how this occurred. We do our annual, or every other year, liquor license approvals or renewals. And in this, my staff's running multiple licensees at a time. This one had to check the convicted felon box, and it came across my desk. I did a review of the file, and there was a felony conviction in the mid-90s for this particular individual. Obviously, in the state statute, it's very clear under 125.04 sub 5 sub B, which states criminal offenders, no license or permit related to alcohol beverages may be issued under this chapter to any person who has habitually been a law offender or has been convicted of a felony unless the person has been duly pardoned. I had reached out to our village attorney who drafted a memo for the board's review just to make sure I was interpreting the state statute right, that there wasn't some type of other loophole. Obviously, it talks about a pardon with the felony. And his interpretation is what the memo states is there's really no way around the state statute. Once a person's been convicted of a felony, the state statute's very clear that they shall not be issued a license, and there's really nothing that can be done because it would be in violation of what the statute states. So I know I reached out to both the licensee and the owner, and I'm very empathetic to their frustrations. I can understand that. I would only be guessing to the board as to how this actually occurred. It occurred at least 12 years ago, potentially longer. It looks like 12 years ago was actually a renewal application. So this could even date back further than that. And again, I'd be guessing whether it was brought in for a recommendation of denial and just the information wasn't provided that state statute doesn't allow an overruled by the board to grant a license. It would still be a null and a void license if that were to be the case. Or if the police department just missed it, could have been a plethora of different issues. I don't know what they were. Obviously, this fell through the cracks somewhere 12 plus years ago. But in my position, it definitely came to my knowledge, and I interpreted the statute, sought clarification, and I can't, I guess, turn my back on it, whether it happened 12 plus years ago or is just occurring now. I had to do what the statute dictates in this particular case. So I know it is very frustrating for the business owner as well and the licensee.
The chief is really, I know this person, I've known her for that long. Stellar, I mean, nothing we can do.
Again, I'm just interpreting the statute from a police officer's interpretation. That's why I sought our village attorney's information, and I think he's fairly clear in there that it's really the state statute's mandating it with no type of, I'll call loophole or, I guess, way around a felony conviction. So I'm just really, law enforcement, not law creation. I'm just telling you kind of how the statute reads and that it really does mandate that that person cannot hold a license. And I know one thing I failed to mention on the phone when we talked was that person can still sell alcohol. They just can't be the only one licensee. So if you had another license yourself or whoever else, she could still sell. It just she couldn't be by herself selling as part of the liquor license or the operator license. I just want to make sure that I was able to, I assumed you knew that, but I just wanted to make sure.
You know, over the years, I've never, the board has always turned down people when these things were brought to our attention. I have never, in the last, let's say, 10 years, have recalled ever overriding a law that with regard, so this is the first I've ever heard of this. And thank you for bringing it to attention. It's like, but it's never, we've never ever, that I can remember, overridden anything that was a state law that came to us from the police department.
And I think where these get tricky is, in my position, I make a recommendation to the board, and that's what I'm doing today with my denial. It's a recommendation to the board. I just think in this case, I wanted to make sure the board understood it's actually not, it's warranted, it's defined within state statute. I mean, it's just my interpretation and our village attorney's interpretation of the statute. So we offer recommendations, and then the board obviously has the right to vote as they feel appropriate. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware that the statute reads very clearly. There's really no way to approve this because it would be mandating something as a board against state statute.
I think even in here, unfortunately, it says, you know, do the thing, indicates that the municipal governing body may not exercise any discretion. And that's what we're being asked to do.
One thing I think we might want to do moving forward is on on an application, if someone's going for the first time, I'm guessing, I think, it says, it asks if a person has ever been convicted. Since it's so, there's no wavering from it, but a person originally applying has to answer, have you ever been convicted of a felony? But a renewal doesn't. So if you make it through the first time, you could make it through a lot of times unless someone catches, wait, there was this way back. I don't know how stuff doesn't pop up on a background check, and I don't think it necessarily has to do with you. It's probably the service we use. But I think it might not be a bad idea to change the form unless that's just a state-issued form, which maybe it is, but that we pose the question on any renewal asking, have you ever been convicted of a felony, at least asking. No, a renewal does not. It assumes that because you can't get one if you've been convicted of a felony. The renewal assumes all the work was done properly on the front.
It is on the form, it's the exact same form, if I
Oh,
may speak to that. So it is the exact same form, which is how it was caught this time, because it was a renewal form.
So it is on there.
It's the same.
So it is on there.
It is,
Oh.
It had to be, because you get,
sure.
you convicted between
Between,
one license and
right.
I don't know what forms look like. This is my first, we do these in June of even years, so I wasn't
Okay.
here in June of 2018 when this batch of renewals came through. So this is my first renewal group, and it's on this form, there's a box that says, have you ever been convicted of a felony? At the staff level, we have had conversations that we just put on there. If you check yes on this box, you cannot be granted a license. Like, there's no ifs, ands, buts.
You are going to
Or
have
about it.
several more come through.
Yep, and we actually have one slated for
Yeah,
the next meeting as well.
because this board has overturned those. You will have.
Correct.
And so it was the police chief. You will have several more.
Yep, I know the one next month, next meeting,
I know.
was recommended for denial, but I think at the time, the board felt that they knew the person, that he was a good person. Obviously, we all can make mistakes, we all understand that, but it was ultimately approved. But as you can read the village attorney's interpretation, I just don't know if that's the proper action in that particular case, or this one for that matter.
Thank you.
And I don't believe that it's up to us to decide if somebody's a good person or not, or, I mean, that's not our judgment. We do have to follow the statute.
Actually, usually we do, but if
Yeah.
someone's convicted of a felony,
Right,
it just
and
doesn't
I-
allow any leeway, and they ask us to,
And I don't
has there
remember-
been too many offenses, stuff like
As
that.
Mike had stated, I don't remember coming across felonies before, just DUIs. And that was 1 year, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember.
June of
Never
2018.
remember.
This board did. Yeah.
There's one that I was part of
June
one where we
2018.
went against the recommendation, but the felony wasn't the issue, it was a lot of
Oh,
traffic
that,
offenses.
oh, okay, I
wasn't
remember that
felony.
one, yeah.
He was a,
Correct.
he was on there as a felon.
Who's that flavor?
So, with that, we would have to entertain a motion one way or the other, though.
So I'll make the motion that we deny the license.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to deny that license,
Sorry.
for operator's license. Any discussion? All in favor of denying the license? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you for taking the time to speak, Mike. I'm very sorry. The next item that we have on the agenda are items related to the Chamber of Commerce Annual Street Dance on Saturday, July 19th, 2020. There's a couple permits along with this. We have the street use permit. That's the first one. Where's this list? Okay, so we have the street use permit, which is from 12 noon to 1 AM on July 18th. I did notice on the form, it said something about the 17th, but I don't, anyway, noon on the 18th till 1 AM, which is actually July 19th. See attached form for what the Chamber of Commerce said for the event. So let's take that one first, and then we'll go through the others, because they all kind of roll
I'll make a
together.
motion, we approve the permit for the street dance.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the street use permit for the Chamber of Commerce street dance. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
That motion is carried. The next one we have is a temporary Class B beer wine permit. This is for that same event that we just passed.
That we approved beer, wine permit, for Chamber of Commerce, but I think that was the one that specified the 17th. So I had to have the date of 17th in there so they can receive the wine, I think it was in the.
I would agree that should cover both days.
Yeah, so with that amendment.
Yep. So it'd be the 17th and 18th, just so they can receive the wine. Was it seconded? Sorry.
Not yet.
He made a motion. We have a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to allow for the temporary Class B beer wine permit for dropping off a wine on the 17th and for July 18th, 2020. Located 151 to 155 East Capitol Drive addresses. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Then we have a public dance license application. This is for the same event. You have to get a dance license as well to have the street dance. So
I still move that we approve the dance license for the street dance.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the dance license.
For the
Can I
next-
make
Discussion?
a discussion? Ryan, weren't we going to eliminate the dance permit?
Fee.
The fee?
Yeah.
But they still just need the permit?
Yep.
And that's the same for all the events? Okay. Just want to make sure that was clear.
Anybody else? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Abstain?
That motion is carried. Then we have a temporary operator's license for the annual street dance. That's Donald Minturn Jr.
I make a motion to approve the temporary operator license for Donald Minturn for the annual street dance.
It's been moved and seconded to approve that temporary operator's license. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have a street use permit. The applicant is Honor Our Heroes LLC. The location starts and ends at Lake Country Lutheran High School. The date is June 7th. The start time is 8 a.m. Do we have anyone that wants to speak to that here? No. That's the event.
Also move we approve the street use permit for the Honor Our Heroes.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve that street use permit for the 7th of June. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. That permit will be granted. We have two items. What do you think? Punt it. Or wait till a question comes up and then
Yeah.
punt it. It's up to you.
Wait till a question.
We have items that were referred to from the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission did send them to us. But we have the consideration of a motion to approve plans for construction of the new church facility for St. Charles Church at 313 Circle Drive. If the board wanted to recommend or accept the recommendation of the Plan Commission, they could move forward now. If they had more questions and stuff like that, they could also move to table it since there isn't a representative from that group here.
Can I make one comment on it? I'm on the planning commission, and I just wanted everybody to know that, they don't intend to, if it gets approved right away, they're not gonna start until after Fall Fest. They decided that they thought it was more important for Fall Fest, since everything else has been canceled, and get the community together, and then they'll start after that. Because we were a little surprised at the fall start. That's it.
I'll make a motion we approve the planning commission's recommendations for the church facility at St. Charles Church.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the plans for construction of the new church facility at St. Charles Church at 313 Circle Drive that's been recommended for approval from the Plan Commission. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Next, we have an item, it's a consideration of a motion to approve an extraterritorial certified survey map in the town of Delafield. Again, this does come from the Plan Commission, and I'll even kind of throw it to Administrator Rhodey if he wants to talk on it, but basically, there's no way this will ever, or most likely, this will never become part of the village, but we have the right to take a look at it. We looked at it, it just doesn't affect us, so it was sent on to us.
Let's see what you say about that.
Just as mentioned, because it's in our extraterritorial zoning range, we always want to look at these and decide whether they work for our future plans or not. This one does. We never want to give up that right, because once you start to give up that right, hard to get it back, so.
Because we're a village and they're a town, basically, we get that 1.5 miles from our border to say, hey, wait a minute, you know, that kind of thing.
This particular one is coincides with all the other properties that we've made them allow the right street frontage for. So this is just following suit, but it is action that the Plan Commission has to review and give a recommendation, and the board does have to take action. So we're looking for a positive recommendation.
I'll make a motion to approve the extraterritorial certified survey map in the town of Delafield as stated.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the extraterritorial certified survey map in the town of Delafield. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. At this time, I do have a quick request. I had, at one of our previous meetings, we had tabled an issue, and I had asked someone that had, I had asked the owners of Palmer's to come in. I'm just asking the board if we could move item, I'm sorry, Chief. I wanted to ask because I know that they're running dinner over there right now. I had asked, what's the item number? Sorry. Number 10. Item number 10, could we take that up now? Could we move that up in the agenda? Obviously, that would take the board agreeing to that, but since they were here, I thought, is that, do we need a motion on that?
I think you can just jump right.
Okay, if you'd like to, I just asked them to come here if you're, no, go ahead. You can come up.
Sorry.
You can both come.
Gonna be here all night anyways.
I want to start off by thanking the board for approving paying for our liquor licenses here. I think that was very admirable of the village to do that, and I think Jeff is probably appreciative as well. It was very, very nice, so thank you guys for that. Big round of applause for that. Thank you.
Hey, there we go.
A while back ago, when we started all this fun stuff we're going through, I was talking to Jeff, and I said, I don't think that the curbside is going to disappear anytime soon after we get to open. So I said, what are the chances of me getting, or us getting a curbside sign next to the restaurant to continue on after we were open for regular business? This past weekend, we opened up, and it was very evident we do need a sign. It was brought to my attention that there was some speculation that only Palmer's was going to be getting the sign. I saw some things, some clips from the meeting last week, and from what I understand, not true at all. Got some feedback that I picked out all the designs of the sign. Not true at all. I got an email saying, vote for the sign. You can't pick your own sign. We're all going to vote on a sign, and we're going to pick from those signs, and those will be the signs that we all have to live with, which was great. If we could get this, I thought this would be a wonderful thing for us. As we went through these times over the last 2.5 months, you know, we saw our business decline seriously, and when we opened this weekend, we saw the need for the curbside is still there because we had 68 carryouts on Friday and 72 carryouts on Saturday. So people are still not ready to go out and dine in a restaurant. We've taken a lot of tables out of our restaurant. We've taken a lot of seats out of our restaurants. We're working at less than full capacity, and it's affecting our business. And it's going to take a while for everybody in our industry to make a comeback to hopefully sustain and not lose what they've built so long for. So when I was asking about this, I wasn't asking for just me. If it happened to be that anybody else would want one, that would be great. It was, be great for the community. And so I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't me asking just for Palmer's. It was me asking as a representative of our village that I think that this is something needed. We happened to be sitting one night, Maria and I, looking outside saying this is going to be something that's going to be needed. Could we get it? It would be a wonderful thing. If we can't, so be it. We understand. But that's what we're looking for. We're not necessarily saying it's got to be permanent, but if this becomes a permanent issue, that would be great as well. We talked about different hours. We talked about people coming up and, maybe dropping off their dog or them getting their dog brought out by us because it'd be close to the Silver Leash where they wouldn't maybe want to run in or drop their dog off. I know she had some restrictions as well. So curbside means curbside. It doesn't mean It's just there for us. So, I mean, if you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to answer them. If not, I mean, I just really appreciate the time. And again, kudos for taking care of our liquor license. That was pretty awesome.
Jerry, how many do you think the downtown could actually accommodate for reserved curbside without, because we hear a lot of people complaining about, oh, there's no parking, downtown. And do you think one on each side of the street, like one closer to the drugstore or one, I'm just curious as to how that was kind of our issue.
For me, I wouldn't want it across the street from me because you're taking liability if I'm going to be sending a 17-year-old to run a package out to a car, or if I'm going to send somebody that's older out to run out to the car, because you can see how these streets get at night, when we were in our peak. I think that it could easily sustain one in front of each restaurant or bar if they're going to be doing carryouts or, whatever anybody's doing. I think it could easily sustain that without a loss.
And the stores and the drugstore.
Sure, I think you have one already, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was talk of times and hours being restricted to them and things of that nature, which, that would be fine as well. There is a parking limit in the city already that's not enforced. And I get it, we don't have to enforce parking restrictions in the village if there's no need to. But to have the availability for somebody to be able to pull up, get their food, run out to their car so they can leave. Saturday night, we were 5 deep. And so the street was semi-full, we were open, Zesty's was open, and we could have used more on Saturday, but we're not looking to get more. We're just looking that we can shuffle those cars in and out and keep the traffic flow moving, and we don't have to worry about them parking, trying to find a place to park, trying to make it easy for them to come in and have the same dining experience at home that they would maybe have in the restaurant because they're not quite comfortable going out for dinner as yet. So I don't think it would hurt the village. Time would tell, and as I said earlier, if things fell off, we'd be the first to say, hey, this is not needed anymore. I think people that come to the village, yeah, could we use more parking? Absolutely. But people do find their way around. They're not looking and going, I can't come here and leave because there's no place to park, so.
Where's the best spot, Jerry? I mean, you're there, you watch it. I
Right
drive
out
through.
front door, yeah. Right out the front door.
Okay.
The first one.
Because I drive through and I see people trying to parallel park and.
Yeah. Yeah, the first one right off the driveway because they got the driveway as a buffer.
Right.
Some people can't parallel park and some others are good at it, but that one right off the driveway, they can slide right out. We got a comment the other day that was, why can't I park there? Well, because the village has granted us permission to use this right now as a curbside pickup. Well, who gave you that permission? He gave the name and said, this is how it works. I mean, this is what they're allowing us to do. And the customer came in and just from the whole night on was just angry for whatever reason, but that's going to happen. Our business is very delicate, as you know. People seem to complain a little bit more in that kind of atmosphere than they do in others. But we just think it would be a big help for everyone. And I didn't come across asking that it was just for Palmer's, and I didn't want that at all when it was brought to my attention that it could help everybody. God bless, that's great, because, again, it's been great.
So just so you're clear of when I think that saying Palmer's, I don't think the board meant like only Palmer's was gonna get one. What we were saying is when we're putting signs up in front of restaurants like that, what's to say, and it really wasn't the restaurant, it was another business that had asked for a loading zone sign as well. And it's not their loading zone, it's not your
That's
curbside
correct.
pickup.
That's correct.
Right,
That's
and
correct.
that was our point of that, not saying like you don't get it, cause most people would go right in front of Palmer's, but there's always that person that's
Right,
gonna,
right.
Still go
But I
up there
think
and
we have
get
to
it.
define curbside pickup as it's curbside pickup. It's not getting in there, getting out, and going and having a couple beers and then
Correct.
placing your order, and then they wait, and then they get in their car and they leave. No, we wouldn't want that either.
Right, I agree.
We're thinking about giving one of our spots up down below as well.
Having 2 beers and picking up
It's
your
for
carryout
getting
food,
it out.
not
Right.
for going out when people are running the food.
Right,
out.
Correct.
right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And for our community, I think for older people that want to still, and I don't care whether it's Beer Snobs, Enters, Palmer's, Zesty, wherever it is, or someone that's elderly or young, going to Rick's Place that's got the 15-minute spot right now.
Right.
Now, right now, to answer whether or not we can do it, I think we all agree. You see the pink signs all over. We have a ton of, temporarily, we're already doing this. What some businesses are, what this does is it opens up for the business to get ready for the long haul. That in November, there still may be someone that has compromised health, like Jerry's son,
Yeah.
who couldn't go into an establishment possibly and wants to stop and get curbside. It's having the foresight to say, hey, I still want to come and get your food. and I wanna park and have you bring it out to me.
Right,
Is
right.
there a difference, Jeff, between curbside pickup and loading zone?
No,
I would think that'd be different.
why?
Because loading zone would be like, let's just say in front of a flower store where you're gonna unload your flowers and load some up versus a customer pulling up to pick up, call in and say, hey, I'm here, bring my order out.
And you're kinda right, but it turns into
I'm just
splitting
asking.
hairs, because for the police chief driving by, he has no, all he sees is activity and exhaust coming out of the car, meaning it's
Okay.
not shut off. So, there is a slight
There is.
difference,
I'm
yes.
just asking.
But if someone pulled in to unload food into Palmer's, I can almost guarantee that the police chief wouldn't stop and be like, hey, it's curbside only. I know, I'm sure it wouldn't happen, but it does change it because it's saying you can't just shut your car off and park here. I mean, it's,
Right.
And some of the things were the time of day too, I think was
Yeah.
discussed, like when we're open.
Yeah.
It would be curbside.
I know for, like Palmer's, they had said, I mean, it's basically those hours from 4:30 until 9 or 8
Yeah.
are the only time they really need it, because I guess after 7:30, it seems like carryout
yeah,
and
right, it's all
curbside
over.
really die off. But I just asked them to come here. I didn't want it to go on too long, but it seemed really oh, go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I wanted
Trustee
to echo,
Lupke, sorry.
Trustee Doro's comments as well. I apologize if you got the misinterpretation that the board at all was concerned about Palmer's asking for the specific sign. That, and I'm not sure how that came down, because that's not what was happening. We agree, I agree, like, I think, unfortunately, in something so terrible that has happened to our economy, it has innovated us in some sort of way. So now
Yeah,
there
it's
is an
totally different.
Right,
I
there
was
is an
listening to this gentleman
opportunity.
talking about his baseball. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you know? You don't know.
Right.
I mean, we're open, and all we're getting is guidelines. So we don't have to follow those guidelines. This is what we suggest.
Right.
And we've done what we felt is to make it fair, which is not why we're here to be talking about it, but to make it comfortable for somebody to want to come into our restaurant. But it's costing us, it's hurting us. So having this is just a plus to help us, pick up a little more revenue, and hopefully, hopefully this goes away.
I would agree. I think to Trustee Doro's comments as well, and just to echo what you were saying, is looking at not only Palmer's, this is an opportunity for the business to continue to move forwards, which is what we tried to do at the last board meeting, was find ways to continue to let your business move forward. I think we also were trying to take into consideration the other restaurants as well that are in the village, and how do we support them as well. And I think that's why we had moved to table it, but I do think it warrants discussion, especially as things are starting to open up now. And your statistics are helpful for us to know how many takeouts you had, right? Because you don't know what the volume's gonna be.
We expected it, so we could,
That's-
cut our menu down so that we didn't get, fortunately, we weren't open the first weekend and read that Kurt's got bombed. And they had to shut down and apologize to our customers. So we said, well, let's keep the same simple menu we had, because we didn't know what to expect. And then you get 70 of them, and it's like, and you got not a restaurant full of people, but a lot of people more inside than just outside. If you're just doing outside, it's pretty simple. It's just like doing inside. But when you put them both together and you try to make a balance there, you got to staff it differently. It's a whole different ballgame, just like you guys doing meetings on Zoom. It's different. It's a different way of doing business. So whatever you decide, we'd appreciate it. And I'd much rather see a sign on a pole than those beautiful orange and white barriers out there personally, but that's just me.
I want to ask one last question, kind of curtailing off of what Trustee Lupke had said. Many of the, when I say many, some of the businesses actually have voted, because this did go to the bid, and they sent it out to the, okay, I just wanted everybody to know
Yeah,
that.
I
we
didn't know how it
was
got to the
sent out
bid or
just that-
what.
That's how they came up with the sign, and they
Right.
kind of took a poll, and I don't know who you've talked to.
Yeah, I don't even know who
Whether
designed the
Beer
sign. I
Snobs
got
voted or
an
Pat
email one
voted, I
day
don't
and
know.
said, would you vote on the sign? This is what we're gonna do, and I voted
And
on
then
the
they
sign
took
that I
the one
like.
that was the most, that
We
got
talked
the
about
most
So
votes.
just one more thing we might want to do really quick, paint the curb.
Yeah,
It's definitely possible.
Because a lot of people, that sign is kind of like a sign, but if they see the curb painted when they're pulling up, they'll know that just
Yeah,
one
that's
more
definitely-
plus.
I mean, that's a-
And it's not expensive,
I
it's not.
think since there seems to be a consensus to move this forward, why don't you give us the next 2 weeks to get a sign design? The bid did pick a sign that everybody was okay with. Map them out as to where they'll go. Work on the times with the businesses as far as the times that they're looking for. And then put this all together for you guys to look at on paper, where the signs will be, what they'll say, and then maybe try it for 3 months, 90 days, and see where we're at in 90 days.
Do we wait for the companies or the establishments, whatever they may be, to come to us and say this, they want one? Or are we just going
So
to,
we did, so that was part of what the bid.
the bid already did that to
we
all the
kinda put out to
downtown?
them. They, some of them wanted it, some of them
Okay.
didn't.
Okay.
Then everybody wanted different signs, which led to the,
Okay.
hey, let's
But
just
all
pick
the
one sign,
businesses,
so
okay.
that it's not confusing.
Okay,
Then they picked one sign, and then that's when it kind of got
So we
sidetracked. And
already
then the
have
state.
that.
Then the
Okay.
idea was maybe they wouldn't even want them, because now with the state being open, and you don't want to give up the parking spot. So I think, I think it's appreciative that you're patient with this really crazy change by the day situation. But I definitely want to also be upfront with the board and say, let's get it on paper so that everybody knows where these are going and everybody agrees, so that there's not, we're trying to make this, try to do this once. It's gonna be really expensive to send DPW out, change signs, move locations, paint curbs. Let's put a good plan in place. The good news is, it's still slow on capital, so now's a good time to do it. The other item is the contractor is working on capital and won't have capital done, hopefully we'll have capital done this week. But now is a good time with everything kind of messed up, so if we could put a good plan, put it on paper, show you guys where they're gonna go, what they're gonna say, and then you guys can approve it, and then it would be enforceable for the PD, because it would be.
Would that be good for next board meeting? Do you think that's enough time?
Definitely.
So we can make a motion to postpone for the full plan to come forward? Staff will work on it with whatever business owners they can work
I'll
with?
make a motion. So I'd like to make a motion to postpone, so we can see a full plan
Do you know the date? June 8th.
for June 8th. That's a good idea.
Oh, he did. Oh, it's been moved and seconded to postpone this till June 8th. Staff's gonna work on a plan and with the, anybody they need to in the downtown area. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried.
and in the
Thank you very much
meantime,
for
we're gonna leave our
coming.
pretty sign, our pretty ones.
Yeah, in the
right?
meantime, we're gonna try to get them a more pretty sign. Chief, thank you for that. And I'm gonna take a 3-minute recess. I have to. I gotta pee. Sorry. I'm gonna take a recess. I'll tell them on the way through. I gotta take a 3-minute recess. I have to.
Need a bottle of water?
Yeah, another pop.
Well, thanks, I'm
A raging creek.
Let's do it. Okay, we're back in session, and at this time, we have a presentation by the Hartland Fire Department, or of the Hartland Fire Department Annual Report. Chief, the floor is yours.
Good. All right, as you all know, I'm Dave Jamritz. I'm the interim chief of the Hartland Fire Department. I've been on the department coming up on 27 years now. Started here in '94, and I had 2 years on previous to that in New Berlin. So just to go through some high points on annual report, 2019 was an exceptionally busy year for us. We had 116 more calls than we did the year before, 2018. There were, as you can see on the third page, we go through the monthly calls, call totals. Our busiest month was March. We had 98 calls that we answered. Second busiest month was 95 in August. And then, so we're averaging 80 some calls a month last year. This year it's down a little bit, amazingly. Talks about training. We train on a monthly basis. Obviously that's down this year for this year too, but last year, Mondays, every Monday of the month is something going on. Our business meeting on the first Monday, EMS second, fire on the third, and then operators on the fourth, and then sometimes they're all combined. So a lot of training. Things change constantly in the fire world, so we try and stay on top of it. We work a lot with our neighboring departments. I was just in contact with them today. We have a house that we can burn down on Lakewood Drive and practice in. So now that everybody's getting back into the training, we offered it up to them to go out and work in it. And then when we burn it down, right now the plan is June 20th to do the final burn down. So we'll need their help for that. Some facts that he put in there from the NFPA. Estimated 29,819 fire departments in the United States. Of these, 2,785 or 9% of the departments were all career, so fully career department. 24/7 with people at the stations. 2,316, 8% were mostly career. So we would fall into that where we have career people and combination people that stay at the station or respond from home. 5,405, 18% were mostly volunteer. So most of those people don't get paid or they get a yearly stipend or whatever. And then 313 were all volunteer. So absolutely no pay. They volunteer their time. A lot of departments, that's the way they work now. So nationwide, 39% of the fire departments provide no emergency medical services. So none. They contract with a hospital in their area or hospitals 50, 60, 70 miles away for ambulance service. 46% provide basic life support. And then 16% provided advanced life support. We are very fortunate here. We are included in that 16% of nationwide to provide ALS services to our citizens. Last paragraph, we continue to evaluate and analyze the service that we provide to the needs of the community as well as the needs of the individuals who work at our station. Again, complexity of the environment, as we could see by the way things changed this year in a matter of weeks, months, you know. The Hartland Fire Department has been a leader in the county in response time and transport time. We will continue to maintain the hard work, dedication, and commitment to our citizens. So we do have some of the fastest response times in the county. We get that ambulance out in under 2 minutes, which is what we shoot for. And we try and get them to hold to the 10 minutes on scene time. Doesn't always happen, depends on the patients. Some of them want to go, but they don't want to go right away. They want to get close together and everything else, so it takes a little more time. But We try and get them out the door and to the hospital within that 10-minute time period, so. Next page is going over, again, our responses. Shows the monthly responses, shows the total calls and split up between fire and EMS incidents, and then our Merton calls. We have a contracted service with Town of Merton for some of the areas. So those were the total calls that we responded to out there, so, which was 73 EMS and 19 fire for the year, so. So some of the highlights, it goes over, again, the total calls there. We have a 2% dues audit, which we do with the state every year. Goes according to our runs, our fire inspections and all that. We had them done again this February. It was all taken care of already, so we're all set for the 2020 year. We had no problems in 19 funding program. Julie, my assistant, she is the bomb. These guys come in and sit down with her, and the last 2 years they've told her she is the most organized and most up-to-date person that they've ever worked with. They can be out of our department in 2 hours and have all the information that they need, so. She is amazing. Ambulance inspections, so every year state comes in and inspects our ambulance, make sure we're up to date on all the tools and stuff that we're supposed to have in them. We have no problem with that. We have passed with no issues for a number of years now. So through our emergency management or our MABIS system, which is a mutual aid box alarm system, it's countywide. We secured emergency management system and inputted all of our members, verified all their credentials, arranged for headshots to be taken and distributed IDs to the members. So that way, on a scene of a MABIS call, New Berlin was a good example where they had that industrial building burning and they had half the county there. So that's how they track us on scene, any major incidents. So that takes care of that. Our staff achievements last year, Lieutenant Conan was Emergency Service Instructor 1 graduate. Our paramedic graduates were Josh Brown, Shannon Carroll, Kelly Monahan, Andre Nash, and Amy Maddox. Of those, right now, 3 of them have full-time jobs with full-time departments. So they are coming back and doing some of their off-shift times with us just to help us out and to keep them up to date too. EMT Basic was Brandon Westfall. Firefighter 1 was Michaela Roscoe, Josh Brown, Shannon Carroll, and Eamon Wheeland. Firefighter 2, Carl Debelek and Josh Brown, and MPO was Kelly Monahan. So a lot of people very busy with class work last year. Our apparatus, 4361 was our brand new engine, which arrived late in December. It's been in service now since probably February full time. Great piece of equipment. The fire committee or the truck committee that put that truck together did an amazing job. We did an extrication training last week, which is our first training back, and we had one of the guys from Delafield or Lake Country Fire, and he was just amazed. We have more tools on that truck for extrication than any 2 or 3 trucks combined in the county, so the amount of stuff that we can do to get people out of crash cars and crash trucks and crash buses is amazing. So memorable trainings, we had semi versus car extrication trainings, and we had a house burn up on top of the hill by the water tower on K by Youngblood. So fire prevention education, we taught 37 classes and educated 690 students last fall. And that usually starts the end of September and goes through the first week in November. So we like to call it Fire Training Month. CPR, we teach CPR on a regular basis. I have 6 really good instructors that we use. Businesses, teachers, police department, the recreation department, the DPW. We had our Community Preparedness Day and a blood drive last year with the PD. Taught hands-on CPR, Stop the Bleed, the blood drive. PD did Crime Stopper stuff. Hartland North summer camp programs, so we had 2 classes with over 60 students tour the station. Our fundraisers, which runs through our fire association. We did a pizza delivery fundraiser and smoke detector inspection. Both nights we were crammed to the max with Enter's Pizzas, delivering Enter's Pizzas and testing and installing smoke detectors. Very well received by the community. We have people calling just about on a daily basis asking if we're doing it again and when they can get on the list. Our annual pancake breakfast is usually the second Saturday in October. We also hold a blood drive for that. We booked out all of the slots for the blood drive, which was over 50, and it exceeded the drive goal. So our extrication fundraiser netted us over $5,000. This year, obviously, we put our fundraiser on hold. We have another date in June, but we're still talking about whether we're going to hold it or not. We have an Explorers program, which again is on hold. One of our Explorers, Faith Feller, she achieved her Firefighter 1 certification. This girl stands about this tall. She made it through Fire 1. She's very, very motivated. She's currently applying to join the department as a member. So we do time donning and doffing drills, confidence course scenarios. Over at Lake Country Fire Station 2, which is in Neshota, we, through our association, we donated money and built an actual 2-story house inside their fire department that we train in. We have forced entry tools, we have search and rescue, we have a smoke machine, we can smoke up certain rooms and work in that way. On the second floor, they have a SCBA confidence course set up, where some people have to take their tanks off, push them through all the obstacles, put them back on, all while they're still on air. So it's a very cool course that they set up. Public relations events, there's billions. So we staffed 6 Arrowhead varsity football games, 7 Lake Country Lutheran varsity football games, which the last 2 years have been pretty much on the same nights. So we had both of our ambulance with volunteers at these games standing by. 16 youth football games. We put that out to any EMT that's available. Lake Country Youth Football pays them to be there for the day. Generally about $25 a game. So we did the Swallow School 5K run. We stood by at the cross country invitational. We treated 21 students there. They generally have over 1,000 runners at this event. Starts with freshmen and then goes all the way up to the varsity team. Stood by at the youth wrestling. There were over 250 youth wrestlers at that tournament. I go to the Waukesha County Job Fair every year and take a piece of equipment and show it off to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Memorial Day Parade, fireworks. As you can see, we've got a page and a half of all the different things that we work on or work with. Our extrication team, a lot of the national competitions have pretty much ceased because nobody has the money to run them anymore. They did one day at the crash lab. So Frederick Memorial Hospital has a crash lab where they actually crash cars, put all kinds of sensors on the mannequins, and our guys go in and see how fast we can get the patient out without moving them extremely a lot. So it's very cool. Very cool to see everything is videotaped from millions of different angles. They put together usually a video and send it out to us. And then they participated in the safety days over in Sussex. All right, memorable calls for 2019. So I have some pictures that kind of go along with this. I'll just pass them around and take a look at them. So first one was on 1/29/19. It was a single family structure fire, 1-story building in Lisbon. It was the night of the coldest weather we've had in a long time. Wind chills at that time were -30 to -60 degrees. Our crews rescued an elderly gentleman inside the burning home and then attempted to put the fire out. not by just throwing snow on it either. Conditions made tasks extremely difficult. The crews are working with smoke from the fire blowing directly at them, taking visibility to 0 at times. Minus 15-degree temperatures, froze masks, and ice coupled with smoke meant the crews working in knee-deep snow and 0 visibility for an extended period of time. We actually sent one of our firefighters the next day to the hospital because she got frostbite. So, our thermal imaging camera and our radios froze, so we had to change those out quite often. And then we transported one firefighter to the hospital from the scene and remained in quarters at Lisbon Station to cover their EMS calls. We had a carbon monoxide incident over on Grace Drive. It was a faulty furnace, and we transported 4 personnel to St. Luke's Hospital for hyperbaric treatment. That was a bad call. We had the swatting incident, which Chief Misko has gone over. That was Julie's first job as an actual 911 operator. The caller called 911 with one story, then called our station and explained to her another story. So because of that, we have the ability now to contact dispatch while we're talking to them and to help get these calls straight. We had the Hartland Inn fire, structure fire. That was a Mavis Division 106 second box alarm, and one of our firefighters was transported to the hospital with heat exhaustion. We had an RV fire in a parking lot, and we had a car versus building on Rose Drive. No injuries on either one of those. So, next page is EMS. We had 98 calls for service in the month of March. One day we had 13 calls in a 24-hour period. 95 calls in August. We had 2 femur fractures within a week of each other, which is unheard of. In my career, I've treated 2. Neither one of those was that. So, we had a fall from a 2nd-story balcony, approximately 20 feet high, off of Oxford Drive. We had an MVA, a car versus the Walgreens building. Smoke inhalation at Medline Industries, we had 8 patients. We used mutual aid on that with 4 other ambulances. MVA on Maple Avenue, 2 motorcyclists with severe trauma, and 1 passed away, I know. We answered 11 calls for service, 9 of them during the storm on June 27th, and on the 29th, before the Hartland Inn fire, they had 3 severe traumas. We had an unconscious patient versus skateboard, we had a patient versus a bicycle, and then a patient versus firework that exploded in the patient's face. We had a double drowning in Merton that we were called to. Trauma, a 20-foot fall off the bridge. I was on that one. That was a really cool call. Hemorrhage came to the station as a walk-in. Guy cut his leg with his chainsaw and thought that driving to the fire station he could just get a bandage change. We ended up taking him in. Again, Julie becoming our first EMT from the station. So. Arm fracture on Church Street. We had an ankle fracture at the Lake Country Chiefs game. MVA car versus bus. A lot of little kids on that bus. None of them were hurt, none of them transported, but that was one of those where there was a lot of time because we had to wait for the kids' parents to get there to sign them off. Otherwise, they all had to go to the hospital. So, we had a 3-year-old possible P&B. And then we had an overdose P&B it was a pregnant female. Neither the patient or the child survived. All right, a member of the Hartland Fire Department deals with many different types of fatigue, mental and physical. Takes its toll on even most seasoned firefighter and EMS member. We're working hard at the fire department to help battle illness associated with ramifications of everything members see, experience, and go through. Cancer is a real concern. Many steps have been taken to reduce the effects of toxins we encounter. We have a detox hand wipe system and face wipe system implemented, as well as gear wash station at the scene of an event. Turnout gear is not allowed in the day room or sleeping quarters at the fire station to help eliminate the spread of carcinogens found in smoke. Members also have detoxification unit at the station to use after a fire incident or training. And we have highly encouraged the use of our EAP as well as biannual physicals. We are looking at a few friendly updates to living space in 2020. All right. So at the end, so this is my addition to the annual report. So in my first meeting as interim chief, I asked the membership 3 questions. What are the top 3 things that the department needs to improve on? What can we do to get a better attendance for calls and trainings? And what can we do to get calls and shifts covered? I received 22 feedbacks from our members, and with the help of my officers and administrative staff, we hit the ground running on a plan to meet the needs of a combination department. We have the following items in process: staffing and pay scale. Pay scale and station staffing proposal is in draft form. An emergency weekend and holiday crews have been established and submitted to Finance Director Bailey and Administrator Rhodey for review. Officer staff, retain, recruit, and promote. We retain Captain Walker, Captain Jambritz, Lieutenant Gilmore, Lieutenant Conan, and Safety Officer Walker. We welcome back Deputy Chief Little, Safety Officer Kowalski, Lieutenant Fallon, and former Lieutenant Ortis, who just came back as an MPO and EMT. We have opened and created a new process for officer recruitment and promotion, and we have the following officers' positions available: Division Chief of Fire, Division Chief of EMS, Fire Lieutenant, and 2 EMS lieutenants. All recruits will be interviewed by other Waukesha County chiefs. Once the chief selection is made, the candidates will move on to the Police and Fire Commission for an interview and final selection. Our mutual aid partners. We are working closely with our mutual aid partners to provide daily staffing availability at each station, meeting weekly with county chiefs to keep the doors of communication open. Chiefs Review and Hiring Committee. We have established a new hiring process for the department. EMS, fire, auxiliary candidates will have an interview with myself and Deputy Chief Little. Once the candidate has been approved, they will be sent on to the hiring committee for an interview. We have 2 candidates tonight that we're just meeting with our interview committee. Candidate then must complete 48 hours of ride time with the department. Police and fire interview follows that, and then they're confirmed as new candidates. This is just a snapshot of the plans in place for 2020. I am honored to have the opportunity to serve as interim chief and look forward to building on what we have started to create a department that we can grow with and be proud of. I can't read that last part, so. We thank the village board, staff, and police and fire commission for their continued support during our transition.
Well done, chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Well done.
Thank you.
You're gonna stay put?
I might as well.
Maybe place the file, make a motion to file the annual fire report.
To accept the report, yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the annual Hartland Fire Department's report.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the annual fire department's report. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion passes. The next item that we have is consideration of a motion to authorize the disposal of a 2015 Chevy Impala from fire department as surplus.
Also move that we authorize that disposition of that 2015
I'll
vehicle.
second.
It's been moved and seconded. I have a question.
Yep.
2015?
It was an old squad car that we got. I
So the
think we
squad-
received it actually last year.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yes.
Okay, it just seems so weird. Usually it's like 2004,
Right.
1996 when you guys are getting stuff and I'm like, huh.
Right. No, we received it last year. It's a good car. It's got some electrical gremlins that we're just figuring out right now.
So you wanna get rid of that and then you'll have a truck.
Then, ask that Chief Misko give us one of the Explorers that he's getting rid of whenever their new ones come in, so.
Okay. Does anybody, well, we don't know. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Anybody else? I was simply gonna ask what the offset is, if that's got electrical problems on what the cost would be for selling, but if they need it, it's always better to get it from within, so. Anybody else have anything? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item that we have is consideration of a motion to adopt Resolution 52920, a resolution adopting the Compliance Maintenance Annual Report.
As you may recall, this is a report required by the Department of Public, or the DNR. And it's something we do annually. It looks at our maintenance procedures for our collection system. It gives it a grade and then the board has to do a resolution saying that they've read it and they understand it, and then that gets electronically filed with Wisconsin Department of, why am I stumbling on that? Natural Resources, thank you. Again, this year we got a rating of A, and that looks at both the financial side and the maintenance side of our maintenance and collection system.
I make a motion, we approve this resolution 0526, 2020, and with the compliments to our DPW for another good, complete job on getting us the highest grade possible.
Thank you.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept 52920, a resolution adopting the Compliance Maintenance Annual Report. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Next item, we have consideration of a motion to approve the final payment for the 2019 crack sealing program to Thunder Road in the amount of $41,933.
Questions? They've completed the work. This is for work that couldn't be done in the fall because of the weather. It was completed this year, and we are very pleased with Thunder Road's quality of work.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve final payment for 2019 crack filling program to Thunder Road in the amount of $41,933.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item we have is discussion and consideration of items related to upcoming village events and opening of village facilities.
I feel like this is deja vu. So before you, we've outlined a couple of things talking about the park. First and foremost, I guess we'll start with the park and then we'll move into hometown celebration. As we've kind of already mentioned tonight, just a whirlwind state action of the Supreme Court. Word coming down that the state was then going to implement different set of rules. Then 2 days later, the state saying that they're not going to implement rules, and that would be a county or a local decision. And then the next day, the county putting out a press release that they were not going to have rules, but some guidelines with basically focusing on groups of 50 or more, not recommending that type of activity. Took a couple days to get some clarification on that, and then coming forward with a plan. So while in a perfect world, we wouldn't be in this situation, it is certainly a challenging world to try to balance all the information coming in from different sources and then balance it for the best fit of Hartland. Keeping in mind that we have a DPW staff that was coming off of platooning, so trying to catch up with some of those spring projects that can only be done in the spring, and then waiting for summer help to get the parks, trying to balance all of that at the same time. Well, another discussion is our wonderful rec department and their implementation of summer camp and summer programming, and fitting that into the mix without being able to use the schools as we had in the past. So trying to put all those pieces together and then roll out a plan for the board to, again, try to give you as much information as possible to help you guys make a decision, knowing what we're able to put together and implement. So the balance that we found with the parks that we feel very comfortable with was rolling out the full park open as a traditional year on June 1st. That gives us enough time to get everything ready, get the bathrooms open. We saw the high use based on the nice weather, and so we rolled out the porta-johns just as a temporary solution to give people a place to go to the bathroom. You can't have 50 people in the park and expect nobody to go to the bathroom. So we rolled out the porta-johns as a temporary stopgap measure until we could figure out what the situation was with the bathrooms. As some of you may recall, and it was mentioned tonight, originally the guidelines from the CDC for public bathrooms in a park was to be sanitized every 2 hours. The logistics of having enough DPW guys or cleaning service to clean all of those bathrooms every 2 hours, and again, the park opening at 8 in the morning and going as late as was mentioned tonight, 10 or 10:30, seemed, ridiculous or very not cost feasible. So again, clarification over the days kind of netted itself out to the 2 hour provision is really for high use bathrooms. So if you had a situation where like a beer garden or something that was being heavily utilized, 2 hours seems to be the best practice. But for the day-to-day park use, once a day, which is what our DPW currently traditionally has cleaned the bathroom. So again, one item we're looking for approval here from the board is to roll out an official opening of the park and the park bathrooms and the facilities like the sport courts for June 1st. Now, the caveat to that is the splash pad and the rental of the weekday rental of our pavilion buildings around the splash pad. The reason is we are looking to use those for our summer camp because we cannot use the high school, we can't use the middle school anymore. Until we can use the middle school, we would like to restrict the daily rentals of those through Monday through Friday, just so that we can use them for our summer camp.
But they will be available for rental on the weekend.
Nights and weekends, they'll be available, but we don't wanna do rentals during the day because we will need them for our summer camp, and we don't wanna
Say
interfere.
something about our summer camp. Jenny, my summer camp partner, and I have been talking about the structure of camp, and we are following CDC guidelines where we are gonna be keeping the kids in groups of 10, 10 meaning the adult and the children together. The reason we want shelters is because Nixon Park has 4 shelters altogether. So if I have 50 people all together, I'm gonna need 5 different spots because we're gonna try to keep the 6 feet distancing. Obviously, through the summer, if CDC guidelines change, where like 50 group of people can actually be together. Even though right now it says 50, but I have children, and I'm just not comfortable putting them in that position of keeping 50 all together, and it'll be really hard for me to keep 50 kids 6 feet apart. It's gonna be hard with 10 kids. We're gonna promote it, we're gonna try it, but we will be bringing them sometimes if we bring like entertainment to the park, but the groups will be 6 feet apart from each other. But we need the shelter for if it's a light rain or if it's really hot, if there's a heat advisory. We're already talking to the library on where we can put them. We're already thinking, okay, if we gotta bring them into the community center, rotate them in here, rotate them in there, just so they stay that 6 feet apart, keep them safe and everything. So that's why we asked for the shelter, so we have somewhere to put them to eat and have a break from the elements. And
these are just the ones at Nixon?
Right now, yes, because if I get over 50 people in general, the other plan is to take 2 groups or whatever we have extra over to Bark River. The reason for Bark River is because we have the firehouse for emergency. I've already talked to Jambrits about going there. If it's inclement weather, if it's unsafe, we can get them over there quickly. But then we would have to have 2 groups because we won't have an adult with just kids. We want adult with kids and adult with kids at one spot so to cover each other. But here at Nixon, we can have me with 10 kids because my coordinator, my assistant coordinator can see what is going on with each group.
So it's still open for rental, just not during those times?
Just not
During
during
those times, it's already
times.
taken.
That's all we ask because we just need a place for the kids to
During
go.
those times, there's no vacancies.
Yeah.
Could you use Hartbrook as well?
Hartbrook. I could, but I know they'll be like going out to the different parks and everything, but I just have to worry about change of weather. If there's a thunderstorm, if there's a tornado warning, or sudden weather, because we've had that before where they're somewhere and all of a sudden, oh my God, get back and get in the community center, email blast to all the parents, come to the community center and get the kids. The firehouse, that's why we're at Bark River, and I'm pretty sure I haven't talked to the school district yet about using their facility, but I'm pretty sure if I said this is an emergency, we have to go in there, they would absolutely probably would let us go in the school district. But I know Jamrits would let us go in. Ideally, we want to keep all the kids together. That's just if we get over 50 people, kids, adults together, then we'll go over there because then no one can say, well, you had more than 50 people here and da-da-da-da. Plus, with how our shelters are, I will probably only be able to have like 40 40 people. I might be able to throw another group on the Fine Arts Center stage and have them use that.
And I almost think that that's more of a thing that like you should run by the Parks Board. You know what I mean? Because they're so in on it, but being the rec director, I mean, I think you can make
Yeah.
that call.
Yeah.
Are you looking for a motion to okay that you're using them? Because I don't think she needs one.
We're kind of looking, for this master plan here of our thoughts. Obviously, if the school changes direction and allows us some flexibility there, that'll just
That's fine.
our
Yeah,
situation.
she can use
But
it.
this is,
Can we open June 1st?
well, camp doesn't start,
We don't start till June 15th.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, can we open June 1st as
June
well?
1st, yes.
Good,
June
I'd take
1st,
that
we're
motion. Well, what? I'm serious.
You passed over that splash pad pretty fast to me.
Oh, no, I was just throwing my 2
What is
cents.
what is the restriction on a splash pad?
I don't know.
10? I mean, are
So-
we just gonna fill that bad boy up and let them,
Let it rip.
let it go?
so two items that we're struggling with the splash pad. One, it's not a recirculated splash pad, so it's all fresh, it's all new water. So there's no chlorine in the water, so there's no disinfectant of the splash pad, which obviously on a nice day attracts more than 50 people. So that's one issue that we're trying to work through, and a lot of communities are working through that same issue with the splash pad. We are requesting more guidance, and the Rec Association of the state of Wisconsin, the county, all these groups are trying to put together recommendations on these splash pads, and that's what we're desperately looking for, so that we're just trying to follow best practice with the splash pad. The other issue is, we're gonna have the camp there. And so with if we have 40 kids with camp, and the splash pad is open with 50 people there, we now have 90 people in the same spot.
I agree with that. I'm just
So-
letting you know. And I'm gonna just say this to everybody. You have the camp there, and you have people driving by seeing kids right next to the splash pad, and if it's closed, we will have to have the meeting at a different venue with the amount of people that will be showing up to say absolutely not.
So
I'm just
we're-
saying, we have to be careful of that.
We are hopeful, a lot of communities are shooting for July 1 with their splash pads. We are hopeful that, again, each day there is more clarification, there's more guidance coming out, and this is a challenging issue. I know people in the community want that splash pad open. Obviously, it's a great feature, and we're not trying to be Grinches for this splash pad, but we're trying to balance all of these different pieces, and right now the splash pad is causing us the most grief to open. So that's our reasoning. It's not chlorinated. If it was chlorinated, it would be self-cleaning. So it's not chlorinated. On a nice day, it's gonna attract easily more than 50 without us being able to control. It's not gated, it's not fenced. We can't say, that's already too many people, sorry, come back later. And then we're gonna put 40 to 50 kids there ourselves in that area because of we need those shelters. Those shelters are the key.
Sorry, can I interrupt? Isn't the CDC guideline also stating that an attendant should be at splash pads to help control crowds? I believe I read somewhere.
It
The
is.
guideline.
Yeah, but ours doesn't have a fence or
Yeah.
an area of enclosure, which makes it challenging. So that's the challenge, and I know we're gonna take, I know you guys as elected official, and certainly us at the front counter are going to take some heat for not having the splash pad open. But at this point in time, we're just asking to give us 2 more weeks to the next village board meeting on the 7th? June 8th. Let us take this 2 weeks to get to June 8th. Every day more information's coming out. We're just asking for that opportunity to kind of delay opening the splash pad. By then, we'll for sure have our camp numbers will be better defined. It's an ebb and flow right now. People are looking for service. Our rec director has expanded the program from just afternoon to morning and afternoon. So we're being real flexible. Everything's changing by the day. So we're looking to hold off on the splash pad for a decision for 2 more weeks.
I'll make a motion that we open on June 1st, the special parts in baseball, softball practice games, concession stands, Nixon Park, beer garden, and all bathrooms, facilities. And the splash pad will be addressed at a later date once the state gets off their dime.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. You got the floor if you want it, otherwise I'm gonna take it, because I wanna know what we're waiting on from the state, because they're not gonna be any more clear in 2 weeks than they have been in the last 2 months.
Well, the only thing I was waiting on is on the July 1st for the splash pad. I don't know if it's, with everything going in with the great job that we're doing with our recreational department, getting those people there. I think an extra 30 days of delaying the opening of that would give us, our system, more validity as far as.
Is rec gonna use the splash pad?
If it's closed to the public, I'm not gonna let them use
That,
it.
well, that's what I.
The water's not on.
That's what I was getting to, if we have, okay.
I will not let them.
I mean, I still don't agree with keeping it closed. I think we're just scared that the CDC, I mean, they're guidelines, but, the motion is that, everything opens except for the splash pad, as we just hit 85 degrees, correct, Mike?
Everything
No, I'm
we
kidding.
always splash pad
I'm sorry, I had to
until
throw it
it's
in.
determined the actual safety of that can be.
What is, so within the next 2 weeks, there's some type of determination that we're not figuring out in Hartland, but it's
We're
gonna
not
come
gonna
from
put
the
a July
state?
1st date, we're just gonna say that it can be available upon the approval of the administration.
I'm fine bringing this back on June 8th.
Is there really somebody at the state that said they're gonna tell us what we need to do for the splash pad to be okay? Or are we
Nobody
just
knows
worried
nobody
because we're
knows.
hoping that the CDC just opens it up? Just want, because I know a lot of the pools are closed, but I'm just kinda wondering.
But your wife pool's got.
I'd actually be
chlorine.
I'd feel better getting fresh water that's just flowing right out than being in a tavern, which I've been in, or in a store where there's a bunch of people around me. So I'm just asking, and it's okay if we're just worried that it's like pushing it too much. Because I was gonna say, you're going in at your own risk.
Yeah, but you
Just
got
like when
little
you look
kids
at
in
this.
there with snotty noses and running around, and stuff, and I think it
I'd
would
hang
be.
around with those kids before I'll grab the cart handles at some stores, but I understand what
Are
you're
you
saying.
not wearing
I get
rubber
what you're saying.
gloves and
So,
a mask?
it's been moved and seconded. Anybody else?
We just won't let old people come.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
That motion is carried. So we took care of the parks, correct? Everything is open everything is open as usual, starting June 1st, except for the splash pad.
Correct. The next item, the fun topic of the evening, the hometown celebration. So in the
Yes.
memo, I mean, obviously this is for you guys, but just want to point out that in the memo, we did kind of articulate that user interest and participation of people signed up is down. Donations are down. So and I've mentioned this to the village president, if the desire is to move forward with the event, we just want to communicate that it will not be the same parade as past years. There will be less people in it. People have already notified us that they're just going to take a pass this year, which is fine because other people have said they are interested. We do pay a lot of dozens of people to be in our parade, which is typical of a parade. Those people are willing to be in our parade, so it's not like there will be nothing in the parade. It'll just be, it will not be a 100+ unit parade. It will be a 40 unit parade, give or take. And those are just estimated numbers.
Can I throw something in?
So, yeah, that's just our piece of mind.
Right now, we're at 33% of what we normally would be at. Normally would be at 90. We're at 33%. I am just going to say, every single time people find out that the parade is going, most people assumed that this was all canceled. So I do think, I'm not saying it's going to be much. If it's the way it is right now, I think everybody is fully aware that, I mean, it's like, I do not want the parade canceled. I don't want fireworks. Over 4 cases of active, yeah, I think we're at 4 right now. Less than 0.5%, no. I think we are gonna get a few people, but the deadline, I was looking at the forms, it is the 31st. Would you be willing at all, Kelly, to extend it? Like, could we extend it to the 7th or the 10th?
For the parade?
Oh, what is it? Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Darlene.
would it be possible or absolutely not?
Oh, it is. But understand it's a lot more than just registrations. We have
No.
had 3 months of no activity.
Yep.
Where normally, February, March, April, we're ramping up and into May. So there's more than that, but well, if that's the wish of the board, we'll certainly do our best to pull it together.
Well, no, and
So,
if
yeah.
it really is gonna be too much work, then I think we're best just keeping it the way it is and going with the 31st. We still have 4 days left. If the vote goes today, we could still, maybe we should keep it there, because I don't want it to be, that's what I was asking, I don't want it to be so much work for you, where you're just like, screw that. There's enough going on.
No, and I think that we're, waiting for this decision tonight from the board. And I think that if the decision is that, hey, we want to do our best to have a parade, tomorrow morning, the first thing that will take place is I will contact the list that I have from last year and say, the parade's a go. And I think that that may generate some more interest, and I'm certainly happy to keep registration open longer than 31st and put together the parade the best we can.
Okay.
So,
Based on how tough it sounds, I think that maybe, unless someone else thinks something, I think maybe we just stay with the 31st and get it out there. Anybody that really wants to get in, will get in the next 4 days.
Right.
Because then you're gonna have the people that are gonna be like, can extend it a day or two, and you'll probably end up accepting theirs anyways, but
Yeah.
this would, okay.
yeah.
It was just a thought. I know myself personally, I absolutely want the parade, I want the fireworks. I think people, if someone is compromised, they should stay home. If someone has COVID symptoms, flu symptoms, they should stay home. I do not think that 9,274 residents should not go or have a celebration because of 4 cases. I think that each area is different. I believe that this community deserves it. That's why that's why I want it that way. Ryan, go
I
ahead.
just wanted to talk, there were a couple quick comments. We as a staff had kind of talked about just some concerns. With the parade route, I think there's concerns of, like if my wife, my daughter and I went onto someone's right-of-way property, anybody's trash, people aren't gonna wanna pick up. You're gonna have people saying, get off my lawn. Those are just some of the concerns with people being there. What was the other one that we had, that we talked about? I forgot it if it comes back to me. Oh, the handing stuff out, throwing stuff, anything like that.
Well, I'm gonna
Right.
request that we cut it and don't have
Right.
anything out.
So I think those are just 2 concerns, with the parade route, I don't know if the people on Capitol will be okay or not okay.
You don't know how
I just
forgiving
think it's a
they're gonna
proper
be.
safety thing,
Yeah.
because that is touching and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We don't know who's handling all of that.
But even like, when you're along the parade route, people don't stand on the street, they generally go into people's properties, put chairs,
Yeah,
garbage, anything
absolutely.
like that.
I think that should still be allowed.
Right.
That's my opinion. I did, Tim saw it. We did get a request, and I said, unless it changes with the board, the Journal was asking. But so I did send a thing out, and I said that we're gonna ask, I don't know if the board's gonna ask, but we're gonna ask that the parade participants don't hand stuff out to the parade watchers. I actually think everybody's gonna have a blast. We had no parade last year. It got canceled, by the way, so everybody's really itching. But I think it's gonna be, I'm extremely excited about it. We're also pretty much the only, for the one time in Hartland's life, we're the only show in town. So, Okachi's going on the 4th, but basically, a lot of them around us have pretty much closed, so.
Jeff, to get around the comment that Ryan made, would it help if we started the parade and backed it up on, is that Nixon? By that church there, and we started there and went right past that way you're not going by the houses, start it there, come out on Capitol, and then just come down and go right, the normal to buy the businesses.
Oh, you mean cut off that whole route?
Cut off that first, yeah.
Man, none of us will be in office next time the election comes around. I'm
I'm
not
just
even
trying
kidding
to
you. You're
think of a
talking.
way to get out of people's yards if that was gonna be an issue.
I think Brian bringing it up, and Ryan, I heard you.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be an issue.
Okay.
I have not seen anyone, I have in Wauwatosa, I have in Brookfield, I have actually stood somewhere where someone all of a sudden was like, hey, you're standing too close, and then you back away and notice you're not on the X. I have not once been in Hartland and had someone say you're standing too close. I'm just saying, I don't think that I think you will see, if this board votes to have this parade, you have no idea how much enthusiasm you are going to see. You have no idea how much this community wants. I don't think you can fathom. I think it's gonna be one heck of a
just trying
weekend.
to come up with
No, I'm just letting you know, but
Yeah.
I think people are gonna be like, no, it's just like every other year. They're gonna be like, hey, how's it going? Sure, you can stand there with your 2 kids so that they can watch the parade. You know, it's a good point, but I just think
I was
there's
just trying
so
to come up with
much,
something to solve
there
that,
is so much push for it. I think that, I actually think it's gonna be really awesome, to be quite honest with you, I really do. Chief?
Just wanted to address your question, Trustee Walsh-Lager. I think the tough part logistically would be our staging area, just because if we had to move that down at all, we use that big empty lot up at Sendex for the staging. So that would be difficult, because we'd have to go by there either way, and
Okay.
people are gonna congregate anyhow.
Yeah.
But I did want to just bring it to the board's attention, the guidance on this at the different levels, the county, the state, and the CDC or the federal government. It's all over the board. If you have the state of Wisconsin, they're very restrictive. They're saying no more than 10 still right now as a mass gathering. They're talking about really, even if you shouldn't be going outside your living unit or your family unit. So very, very restrictive there. When you go to, and these are all guidelines, guidance, none of this is law, none of this is rule. When you get to the county level, you got the county exec, again, recommending guidance of 50, over 50. And then when you get all the way up to the CDC, they talk about cutoff thresholds being set by community leadership at the local level. And the number that they throw out in those guidelines or recommendations is that 250 or more level. So again, you're all over the board, depending on what entity you're listening to and what guidance you're following. But again, all guidance, nothing's law or order.
I do appreciate it, and in 2 days, Hartland will have been open, for 2 weeks. Still have 4 cases.
We just won't let anybody have over 100 people in their front yard.
Yeah, of course.
And that's as we sit today, obviously, as the
No,
administrator brought
and I
up.
know, I just,
That can change by the day, depending on data.
as you can see, and I think it's a good thing, and I'm gonna say it just for our own lives, I mean, in fact, I'm gonna come out and say it. At the beginning of all this, I think everybody did their part. I'm talking in the country, in the whole world. Everybody did their part. They shut down, stayed home as much as possible, shut down businesses, everything, because the hospitals were gonna be overflowing with dead bodies. We weren't gonna even have enough. $24 million to convert state fair. Hospital ships go into places. The hospital ships ended up serving, what, 70 patients, not walked into state fair. Yes, we all prepared for what was coming, but we found out it's not. The CDC last week literally just came out and said they don't know on stainless steel or metal surfaces if the coronavirus sticks to it. So while they're given the conditions, I would be much more afraid if we were a much more highly dense area. But they don't know. I mean, they were saying masks, then no masks, it could hurt you, then masks. I don't want to go on, I don't know. I know one thing, this community wants this parade, they want the fireworks, and our police department, at least right now, is saying they really want people to follow guidelines. They're not sure which one's in there, but some type of a guideline, and they're not going to step on anybody's rights, and they're not going to arrest anybody unless they're breaking the law. I think this community needs to
Mr.
pray.
President, can I make a motion that we, the June 26 Village Fireworks event at the park, and that we approve the hometown parade Sunday, the June 20th at 1:30 for 2020.
It's been moved and seconded to continue and not cancel the fireworks or the parade and have that on the 26th and 28th of June. Discussion.
Yes, I had several. Sorry, I just didn't get a chance to get out before. Darlene, questions for you? Out of that 29 units that have signed up so far for the hometown celebration, have they been in contact with you about what our plans are? Do we know if they're going to back out, stay in?
So quite some time ago, while we were doing our in and out of the office, Tim and I had talked, and we sent out an email to our participants, all of the people that participated in the previous year, and got kind of a feel. And honestly, it was about a third that said postpone it. There was a third that said we'll come whenever it is, and there were a third that said we're not going to participate. I have had emails consistently, and the message has been pending the board discussion and decision. So until tomorrow, when I send that out to people and say, okay, it's a go, we're not going to have a really good answer of how many of those people are still willing. I did get a few calls of people saying, I need to order my materials, and so if you're not sure you're having that parade, you know, this was maybe 2 weeks ago, if I can't order my materials and know that that's going to happen, I'm out. businesses that want to physically hand those out. So I think it's still very much in flux.
So, with that, so we don't know, out of the 29 units, if any of those will want to back out.
We don't.
And
There-
then
there may
and then
be a
now
few.
they might want to back out if they can't hand out material.
Correct.
Okay.
However, keep in mind that probably 2/3 of that number, roughly, are paid units. So they are the first ones to get registered because they want to make that income. This is part of their summer income. And so those units are in no matter what at this point.
What's the max capacity of units that we can have in the parade? Doesn't matter? It's
No.
just endless?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I didn't get a chance to ask. With Friday, we always have like the two, I just want to know for guidance from you guys. We have the two bands, one at 6:30, Hartland Community Band, and one at 8 to stop for the fireworks. Do you guys still want that to play, or do you just want people to come into the fireworks? I just want to know, just so.
That's where
Everything as it used to be.
That's where I
Let's
was
get her
going with
out
everything.
going. Let's
Okay.
get back on track.
I just want
Summertime.
clarification, so.
And everything else is closed, so the businesses are gonna make a lot more money by being, I'm just saying.
So that actually
People
leads
might
me
not believe it,
to my
but-
other points
Go
that
ahead.
I'd like to try to get get through. So sorry, Darlene. So with that, with the fireworks show, we typically have, I think it's a Corona ice truck we have bands playing, all of those. Do we know at this time if they're actually gonna be available? I mean, are we going on the assumption?
So before our rec director answers, just to clarify, because I was confused as several of you are. So just to clarify, Darlene is the queen of the parade and runs our parade.
And she does fireworks.
And our rec director is the queen of running our fireworks event on Friday. So fireworks questions are
So,
directed
so
there.
then I'll
parade
redirect
questions.
my question. Kelly, do we know if the Corona Ice and the bands and the people that sell the glow things and are they available and still booking?
I
Time
will
with
reach
us.
out to them. The community band did reach out to me asking, and we told them we were going to village board. That's a hard one because they have a lot of older community or older individuals. It sounds like they told me if you still wanted to play, we'll be there. We'll still play. I'm not bringing arts and crafters in because so many people will be touching their stuff, moving around, and I haven't had any arts and craft vendors address any interest in doing that. Understandable.
Yeah.
Very close counters. I'm not sure the status for Kiwanis because they haven't met in a few months, so
Right.
they probably won't be doing their
Kiwanis has not met
fundraiser for
at all.
the food. We'll have to get a hold of the Women's Club for their bake sale. I reach out to them and see. I mean, I'll try to have whoever I can there. It probably won't be to the max of what we normally have, but I'm sure Granny Shot will still play because musicians still want to play and they'll be up on a stage away from everybody, so.
So I asked the questions to clarify that just if the board moves forwards with the motions that are on the table, that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna look exactly like it did last year. But there are a lot of moving parts that go into large events to this size, whether it's the fireworks or it's the parade. Therefore, so that at least the residents know that the village board is commending the fact that we want to move forwards with it. However, we might not have some of the things that we would traditionally have, but we're putting our best foot forward to try and at least bring some sort of celebration to our residents. So that's why I asked the questions to seek clarification.
Sure.
And I appreciate it because I wanted clarification
Mm-hmm.
in case I can't get the bands and everything.
And that's a very good point, and also to stress that it's not that the village isn't trying to get
Right.
it, but some of those places may can't, if the
That's my point. of
ice cream
asking.
cone truck doesn't
So
come,
if-
they chose not to come,
In
not
the-
that we wouldn't let.
Exactly, or in the parade, if we end up with 15 participants in the
Yeah.
parade, we're doing our best to lift
Yep.
a celebration. Or we could end up with 100.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
So,
Good.
thank you.
What does it cost if someone from the community or groups from the community want to get in to the parade? Do we charge? And
Yes.
how do they figure out what it
For
costs?
businesses, and, political units, it's $35 per
Okay.
unit. All other groups, like your kids' sports groups, those types of things, there's no charge.
Okay,
And then we have the paid units, which is a whole nother side where we're
Okay.
paying them,
Right.
so.
perfect, perfect.
I
There's a
think it'll
motion
be
on the-
just super. Everybody's gonna get out of their doldrums, they're gonna get out there, gonna celebrate like we do in Hartland. It's gonna be a great time.
I agree.
It'll be a great time.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The parade's on. And so are the fireworks.
Get that fire truck with that big flag
Yeah,
on.
you get that turtle wax out. Announcements.
How about those appointments?
I was gonna say there's
Yeah.
appointments on there.
Consideration for appointments?
That was just for police and fire. I don't have that appointment's not ready to go yet.
Just,
Sorry.
we have just.
Yeah, if you allow, I'm gonna move right past that item. There's no one to appoint. There's no appointment to make. Or there's an appointment to the fill, there's not a person to fill that slot
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
But thank you.
I have 2 brief announcements.
Yeah?
First announcement, a super thank you to Ben and all the work that he did through this Zoom, you know, calling him up 2 days before the
Thank
meeting and
you.
say, hey. So all the changes that he went through, and if you watch the YouTube video, the editing he did to make us all look good is greatly appreciated with all the different camera angles and different stuff, so. And speaking of that, we have talked to Ben. He is willing to look at different options in the future, knowing that maybe some of us might have to be on Zoom, and some of us in the board meeting, and maybe audience members, and how that all works. If you're familiar with Zoom a little bit, it's kind of an all or nothing platform at our simple level that we use it, the $15 a month level, which is the simple level. But we are looking into technology to be able to adjust that. So maybe in the case of like a development or something, if the developers didn't want to bring their whole team here, or a group of residents wanted to participate via Zoom, we could still have the meeting here. Board members could be present, staff could be present, but maybe we could have, 25 people on Zoom participate that way. So we're looking into some different options, and special thanks and kudos for basically flawless transition from Zoom and then back to normal. So that was my first announcement. So thank you to Ben.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Ben. Second announcement, I appreciate the patience of the board and the staff as we move through this. It is literally changing by the day. We are trying to do our best to accommodate, again, whether you're police chief, fire chief, rec director, clerk, administrator, finance director, we are working with our professional organizations. All of these topics that we talked about tonight are on just about every other Waukesha County and probably every other municipal entity in the state of Wisconsin, probably for that matter, the country, working through these items. So there is no set path. We're kind of foraging as we go, and mistakes will be made, I'm sure. And maybe we'll have opened something later than we should have, or earlier than we should have. We're just trying to do our best to navigate this with the resources that we have. And so I appreciate the elected official patient level of knowing that people complain to you first, typically, because as they see you out and about, and you're an easy target to voice those concerns, but know that all those items that people are thinking about, like the splash pad, we are meeting daily to talk about how we can get those open and get all those great amenities that we have and why people live here. We're trying to get those out and get those rolling. Baseball's a great example. I think we were much quicker than many communities in our area to turn around and try to get baseball going. Might not have been fast enough for all the groups, but I think June 1st is going to come and things are going to get back to normal. So those are my 2 announcements, sir.
Anybody else?
I want to say, first of all, to the village, all the work that they've done behind the scenes. I think you guys have done a great job with what's being done around. I really appreciated the parks being opened. I also appreciated the signs that saying to use it with caution, letting everyone know that it's not being cleaned, because it can't be. I mean, that's just something that's out of our control, but we are opening and understanding it. So we're also informing the people, letting them know that there are different things. Times are changed. I mean, it's just a different way. And the other one's for the DPW, who's not here anymore, but I don't know if you've seen over by the fire department back over there, what they've laid down, it looks fabulous. So they've really been working hard. I've seen them all over. That's mine.
I had a couple. So I just wanted to say thank you to the president and the board. Last meeting, I was nominated and appointed to 2 new boards, the Hartland Public Library, Del Hart Commission. I just wanted to commend the library as well for our residents. If you don't know, they have started slowly opening and turning their dials. They have not only are they opening for curbside, but they are opening the library for a tiny library. And they've been working with the police and the village here to try to get all of that done. So I commend them, and that board was great. So I did have my first meeting, and then the Del Hart Commission meeting was canceled this past time. So we'll make sure we update next time around. But thank you to the board and the president for the nomination.
Sorry, I have one more.
You don't have to be sorry, it's announcements.
I did ask all the department heads that didn't have an agenda item not to come, just, we didn't know how many, if the St. Charles neighborhood people would come. So any department head who is not here, it's not a reflection of them not wanting to be there. We just are trying to limit department heads to, if they have agenda items. Our library director mentioned today during a staff meeting that they had put out a video, kind of their game plan to come back, or a video. Yeah, you can rent it at Blockbuster. They put
20 years ago.
She said it's on Facebook video.
Yeah.
They put out a social media
So many
post rolling out how they're going to open over the next 10, 15 days or so to kind of get back going. And she had said that they had 10,000 views already. So kudos to them for using that social media. And obviously there's a desire for the library to get going. So.
Well, when I walked by earlier today, they were out there, Laura and the children's librarian, they were all out there yelling, "We're open!" So,
There we go.
Can I make a motion that we?
I got one announcement. I just want to make sure that everybody knows, even though some people, like myself, really push back and say we want to get back to normal, it is, COVID is real. So if you are around people that ask you to wear a mask or they're wearing a mask, you don't have to make fun of them. You can just acknowledge that that makes them feel safe. But people that still have, anybody that has symptoms of flu or COVID, please stay home. Obviously, we don't want it to, spread. So if we take the right steps, I don't think it will. I think it will consistently be where it is, but be safe, care about each other, help each other, especially elderly that need things, and those that are afraid to get out to the stores, please help them out. And with that, I have no more announcements.
Go ahead.
You do it.
No.
I make a motion to adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting.
Why don't you do something?
All in favor? Aye. This meeting is adjourned.